jam you don't spread.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday. We are live on YouTube with a Radio FreakJam Unsigned session with the one, the only. Welcome, Mr. Paul Miro. I got it right.
Mate.
I got the point right because I always get it wrong. Ah,
Oh, yeah, it's mirror image, isn't it?
Gets very confusing. How are you?
It does
man?
when you got two. Good, mate. Good, yeah.
What's going on? So, I've been bugging you since the start of lockdown to come and join me on this show. So, thank you very much for sort of coming and joining us this week.
More than welcome.
How's it been, man? Lockdown. Something we never thought we'd see in our life.
It's true. It's all right, mate. It's all right. I'm alive. I'm healthy. Everyone around me is good. I've got to say, from the point of activity, it's not that much difference. I live in this room anyway most of the time. So from that point of view, I'm antisocial, agoraphobic, hate people.
Bit of a hermit.
Yeah, kind of. But in all seriousness, it's been pretty much a roller coaster. I've lost a few friends to this horrible thing, and I've had family ill, and I've had friends die, and just kind of utterly makes you reconsider where you are in the world, doesn't it, really?
It does, and obviously sorry to hear for your losses and bits and pieces like that. But I mean, you've been kind of prophetic with some of your works, I feel. Some of your Sonombre stuff, talks about a dystopian future with the end of the world and stuff like that. And, maybe you're hitting the nail on the head. What do you reckon?
I guess, I mean, you got to look at, like, the Sonombre thing. I've been boiling with that idea for, I don't know, since I was probably 12. It's been something I want to do, of an end of the world dystopian, life is over, how did we get here kind of thing. I think a lot of the political narrative in it, again, if you go back to the apes thing, all I'm doing is progressing from where I was there on, if we continue down this route, this is where we're going to be. I don't know if it's much more than anecdotal or some kind of, like, I don't think there's any kind of Nostradamus thing in it. I just think what I've done is comment on what is going on right now before it's actually happening, but it didn't take a genius to plot that route. I just think to set it in the landscape that it has, with the soundscapes and with the mood, that makes it feel very perhaps prescient, if that's the right word.
Well, Paul Miro is my prophet. That's all I'm going to say.
Paul Miro makes no profit. That's no.
Well, there's that as well. Yeah, that's another conversation. Totally. Yeah. So let's. You mentioned apes. So apes, pigs, and spacemen. This is where I discovered you. Now look, I've been trying to put a playlist together today, and you've made it really bloody hard because you haven't got a bad song, man.
Thank you.
I've gone through all your albums, your solo albums, the Apes albums, even some of your old EPs and stuff like that I've got copies of. And, to whittle it down to 6 songs was impossible. So we've got 8. We might run a bit late. And I've started at the Apes, and we're finishing on Sonombre Volume 4.
Okay.
So we're going to do a bit of a musical journey through Paul Miro's life. And let's start with the Apes. So I said to you when we were talking setting up that I was going to do something off Snapshot because it's my favourite Apes album. And then I was listening to stuff today, and then I chose one off Transfusion because I'm fickle.
Because that's your favourite Apes album as well.
It's hard, man. You make it hard to have a favourite. So I want to start at the very start, and I chose Great Place. Because it's the first song on Transfusion. It's an absolutely cracking opener to the album, and hopefully it'll be a cracking opener to the show. So, give us a quick overview of Great Place and the Apes.
Okay, of Great Place and the Apes. Well,
Yeah, it's a
the
quick
thing
overview.
is, Great Place was written before the Apes, weirdly enough. It was written quite a substantial amount of time before the Apes. It was before we had Blair. It was during a period of Thatcher's extremes when I was still in that young protest kind of idea. I've always been cynical about politicians. I've never trusted them. I've hated the lurch to the right. I mean, the whole thing about that song was it was a situation where I didn't think we were going to change for the better anytime soon. And I think that the Tories then, ironically, during my teens, were frightening. It was so frightening to see the sudden volume of people who were homeless, the amount of people losing their jobs. There was miners' strikes, there was unions being crushed, there was industry being destroyed, and you got these rotten, cynical, utter right-wing nutters gloating. And to me, to just write a song about gloating politicians going around and destroying everything and getting people deluded into thinking that they should vote for them and getting away with it, it seemed a bit surreal and almost half comedic. I get it. It was a kind of end of the world through politics kind of thing. So again, the Sin Nombre idea in one song. So and yeah, it just fit with what we were doing with the Apes. The Apes was a very political band. It was very socially aware, if you like. It was also a damn fine rock tune, which fit in with what we were doing. So,
well, let's have a listen. And then I want to talk a bit more about the Apes and bits and pieces, and then we'll move on to some of your own solo stuff. This is all your own stuff anyway. But this is a Great Place by Apes, Pigs and Spacemen. Enjoy.
A small mixed group of apes scheduled for intensive reconditioning have escaped from their quarters at Ape Management. Until they've been rounded up by the police, all citizens are requested to remain indoors. A further announcement is expected as soon as recapture is effected. Gonna do it this time. We followed every golden rule. The people need someone to lead them, and we can show that we're not fools. Our endless surveys and relentless badgering helped us concluding that they'll swallow anything. We kissed their babies and we shook so many hands and said it's great to see ya. It's great to see ya. It's great to see ya. And it's great to have you on our side. This is a great place to be. This is a great place to be for everybody. It's a great place to be. Yeah, it's a great place to be. Hey, hey, don't you forget it. Too much and they take over the show. We're closing pictures, boys, and please don't take no drugs. When you're called for evidence, just everybody shrug. While speculating on the markets and raising tax, make sure you've always got a smile for their brats and say it's great to see ya. It's great to see ya. It's great to see ya. And it's great to know you're on our side. This is a great place to be. This is a great place to be for everybody. It's a great ya. It's great to see ya, and it's great to know you're on our side. This is a great place to be. This is a great place to be for everybody. It's a great place to be. This is a great place to be. This is a great place to be. This is a great place to be. And don't you forget it. Look, children, this is what put the great in Britain. Look, children, this is what put the great in Britain. But where in that asylum of grotesques do we find the arm manufacturer's checkbook together with Grandpa's piss-pathetic medal and his artificial leg? I, for one, am with the defendant. If I knew how, I would blow the bloody place sky high. I would blow the bloody place sky high.
Oh, you do love your Segway tracks. That was a great place, Apes, Pigs and Spacemen. So, Apes, Pigs and Spacemen were signed to Music for Nations. You had Transfusion, then Snapshot, and then it all went a little bit wrong. They were bought by Sony, weren't they? Music for Nations.
BMG originally, I think. Yeah, it was Zomba first. Zomba was part of BMG, and BMG as a group was absorbed into the Sony soup. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
And then unfortunately,
it went wrong way before then. But yeah.
Right. But you did carry on. You couldn't use the name. We won't go into the full story, but you couldn't
for
use
a while.
The full name.
Yeah.
So you went out as AP and S. And
no. AP and S was actually Snapshot. Snapshot was an AP and S album in the UK. We weren't allowed to do anything as Apes, Pigs and Spacemen or APS until the contract was finally thrown into the bushes in 2000, whenever Bart and myself got Free Porn together.
Right.
2000, I can't remember what year it was, to be honest.
Yeah, it was 2000 there, to be exact. I think it was 2003. I honestly can't remember. There's so much going on, isn't there?
17 years have passed.
The reason of APS was we didn't really have much of a say in it. We were Apes, Pigs and Spacemen, which in many countries was kind of a, how can you say that? What does it mean? And there was this thing of what does the band's name mean? Blah, 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 blah. And there was this executive decision, nothing to do with us, that if you want this album to come out, it will have AP and S on the front. So that was Snapshot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were voted like Kerrang's most intelligent man 2 years on the trot, weren't you? For Rock's most intelligent man or something like that. You know.
And yeah, I signed that deal. Yeah.
You know,
weird, isn't it?
Little things that happen. I mean, obviously. So after you said you mentioned Free Porn, which you recorded just you and Bart, from AP and S or Apes, Pigs and Spacemen.
We were back to being Apes, Pigs and Spacemen then, yeah.
And then you sort of canned the Apes for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, kind of. Well, the whole thing was Transfusion actually sold pretty well, and we didn't see anything of it because we didn't own it. And it wasn't marketed well, wasn't exploited. Snapshot was dead from birth. It was deliberately kind of not promoted whatsoever. But we were held to make a third album that wasn't going to ever come out. We finally got out of contract. Our thing was, when we did Free Porn, we felt that we would still be in a position to maybe get
probably 5-6% of the market that we got from the transfusion. Not the accolades so much, but that we would be able to sell enough for us to go on tour, for us to get pressed, for us to run the studio, live. But we were sadly extremely naive still, despite having gone through a few years of proving that we'd been very naive to sign a really bad deal. And we got no reviews, we couldn't get press, we couldn't get arrested, and I think we possibly struggled to do less than 1% of what Transfusion did, and we realised there was no point investing so much time, effort and our own money that we didn't have into something that we couldn't sell.
And obviously this was back in 2003 when the internet wasn't so huge. It was there, but it wasn't as effective as it is now, of course.
Yeah, so, weirdly, still free porn. Like you said, the internet was slow then. We were doing downloads outsold physical copies even then, believe it or not. We were selling 128k MP3s, and people were buying individual tracks more than they were buying CDs. CDs sold okay, but nowhere near what we'd expected them to sell or what we'd hoped would sell. But it was all done online. Everything was done through our website. So from that point, I guess it was a fan-funded project, although we lost a bucket load of money on it.
Yeah. So you, obviously, music is a big part of you. You've been playing music since you were a kid. You were a drummer, if I do remember rightly, to start with. Does that count? And then you played bass.
Yep.
I won't say where you played bass most famously. And then you sort of, after the Apes, you released your own. You started doing solo albums, all recorded by yourself, written by yourself, produced by yourself.
Yeah.
Total in your bedroom, well, not in your bedroom, in your bedroom studio, as it were, working away. So, the first one was Earthly Powers. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That was that was my first solo album. That's right.
So let's have a song of Earthly Powers, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I've chosen Roll On Saturday.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think this song needs much of an explanation because it kind of does it itself, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory.
And what I love about this is the elements of the acoustic style, Paul Miro, with a bit of trip hop and stuff in there as well. Just to sort of
at that point, I was still kind of working with a trip hop project called Ink, and we were right into our trip hop at that point. So quite a lot of that influence was on the Earthly Powers album. Yeah.
Well, let's have a listen to this. This is Roll On Saturday. It's one of my favourites of Earthly Powers. Here it is.
How you doing? Yeah, I know it's late. I had an idea and it couldn't wait. Called the airport, got a cancellation. Didn't really care about the destination. The birds start singing about 4 a.m. Coffee and a shower, then off to work again. What's the hurry? No one's keeping score. Are you trying to meet yourself coming out the door? You got to let your feelings show. Do it for yourself, not just to please me. I'm trying to do my best, you know. Sometimes you just have to take it easy. Yeah, that's the way. Another week of Roll On Saturday. Yeah, come what may, I'm getting out of here no matter what you say. Hey, there you go. Monday through to Friday seem to go so slow. Yeah, that's the way. See you at the weekend. Roll On Saturday. rush somehow. I seem to want everything and want it now. Doesn't matter if a man's all hard, sometimes there is more than just a taking part. It's nice to see that you're still hanging in there. I should've known that you're not giving, yeah. Before it's back to being damaged goods, we take a lot of pictures of the sand and stuff. You got to let your feelings show. Do it for yourself, not just to please me. I'm trying to do my best, you know. Sometimes you just have to take it easy. Yeah, that's the way. Another week of roll on Saturday. Yeah, come what may, I'm getting out of here no matter what you say. Hey, there you go. Monday through to Friday seems to go so slow. Yeah, that's the way. See you at the weekend, roll on Saturday. Yeah, that's the way. Another week of roll on Saturday. Yeah, come what may, I'm getting out of here no matter what you say. Hey, there you go. Monday through to Friday seems to go so slow. Yeah, that's the way. See you at the weekend, roll on Saturday. Roll on Saturday. Roll on Saturday. Roll on Saturday.
That was Roll on Saturday there of Earthly Powers. So, obviously, vast difference in song style and songwriting there from the Apes to Earthly Powers. I know you've got a lot of influences. I know you're a big Bowie fan. Tell us a bit about what you were brought up on and the music that you love.
So much. I did a chat with Rob Lane from Straight to Video last week, and he did this to me. He said, "Oh yeah, what did you grow up on?" And I said the most random things, and afterwards thought, "Why did I say that?" But they were valid. The thing is, I came from a musical house, so I was exposed to everything from jazz, blues, classical, from my dad's side of things, and from the more avant-garde elements of the jazz to the trad jazz. Massive influence from there. Also, there was lots of pop music via my mum and the radio, and there was my sister's influence. I had neighbours who threw me in with things like Zappa and Alice Cooper and Thin Lizzy and Floyd, and just masses of music. I'm going for like the big hitter names there, but to name all of the artists, to me it was just solid music. I would listen to that, yeah, I like that, I like that, I like that. To me it was always a thing of, whenever I heard something, it tended to trigger off something in my head that made me want to explore an avenue or do something. Sure, there was part of me that wanted to keep becoming a better musician. So when it was drums, I wanted to become a better drummer, and then via drums, and I said all this to Rob the other day, the reason that drums became melody instruments was because I was told by my drum teacher that you needed to read brass score to phrase with other instruments, and I wasn't going to play brass, so that moved on to piano, which moved on to guitar, and I wasn't really thinking about playing those instruments other than to enhance my drumming. But along that way, all of this polyglot upbringing of music set off sounds in my own head, where, of course, consciously, when I was starting to sing, you are going to be, consciously or otherwise, you're going to be doing things like adopting the mannerisms of the people who you're listening to. So obviously there's a Bowie influence from my point of view, because I listen to a shit ton of Bowie. Obviously there's going to be elements of jazz phrasing in the way that I sing, because I listen to so much jazz. And from the point of how I arrange and think of things, I was saturated in classical music. So that whole idea of working from a kind of a structure where there's a start, a middle, and an end. A lot of people don't think about that in context of classical music, but to me, with the synesthesia thing that I've got, with it always being colours, for me, classical music was the most densely coloured music. It was the most densely shaded in my head. So it always had an amazing symmetry. It always had a kind of a cohesion that nothing else could have that amount of detail. So when I started overlayering stuff, when I was always there hearing lots of layers in my head, it was sometimes the colours that did it, if that makes any sense.
Let's touch on that quickly. Synesthesia. You see sound. You see sound.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
basically.
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
To simplify it for people,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, you told me a bit about this. Obviously, as someone who doesn't. I mean, does that help? I mean, I see colour. You know, obviously, when I sit with an arranger window and I'm mixing or producing or arranging a track, I like to see blocks of different colours, and you can kind of make sense of it there. But you kind of do that in your head.
I do not. Again, talked about this quite a bit with a few people of the because you use Logic, same as I do as a DAW. Back when Logic was at 4.9, up until Logic 7, actually, you had a total control about your colour palette.
Yes.
And you could, therefore, even at input stage, you could change the record to not be red. When you went live into record, you could have it so that the instrument that was going down, you could choose that colour as well. Now that is a hindrance to me, because it's not like when the images are in my head, it isn't linear. It isn't like a start to finish line like you have on your track bar on a DAW. But I've learned over time to use that as a kind of shorthand so that I can transfer it to that, saves time. Anyway, that aside, when these things are in my head, everything has a shade. So it isn't like a bold, this instrument is always that colour. You know, one guitar will be producing a sound that is a slightly different shade. They're generally in a blue sort of spectrum, guitars. Weirdly enough, I can't play blue guitars because of that. Because it's wrong. It feels wrong. I can't play a blue guitar. It's just wrong. And from the point of Logic now, with the more recent versions, you can only set preset colours. So from my point of view, that's a nightmare. Take guitars. When you hit record, it goes red. When you are recording, it is red. Guitars aren't red, so I cannot look at what I'm recording because it disorients me.
Wow.
And I have to really work hard to get, because you know, like when you're doing droppings, when you're doing things like, because I still work, I don't do a lot of loop recording and building and editing. I try and use analog thinking as much like tape as I grew up with. I still think in a tape way a lot of the way I work. So recording guitars, the same with bass, you know, live guitar instruments, they're not red. Man, they're not red.
So what colour's an acoustic guitar? Is that the same as an electric
Depends
guitar?
which acoustic guitar. No, it's not. No,
right.
It's generally, they're generally a lighter hue, but occasionally, depending on what sound they are producing. So, you know, like baritone acoustics tend to have a tinge of sort of turquoisiness to them in their upper, from sort of 8 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Lower down, when you've got a B baritone on an acoustic, it has kind of, there's a green hue comes in with the blue sort of. It's nothing specific, but I know when it's wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I find it fascinating. I really do.
Guitars are blues, basses are darker blues, electric guitars are darker blues than acoustic guitars in my head. Strings tend to come into a greenish area, orchestrated strings. Things that have woodwinds, they'll range anything from kind of magentas to purples to different hues of blue, and occasionally they'll have hints of red in them, but not so much. Drums, percussion, they're all in a red spectrum. Drums themselves generally red. Again, lightning, the overheads are not as dark rich as the snare. The kick is a different shade, and so on. It just goes on and on and on.
I find it absolutely fascinating. So, I mean, talking about acoustic guitars and strings and bits and pieces like that, the next, obviously, Boats, you went a bit more acoustic again. Less of the trip-hop influence. It was more of a sort of traditional acoustic album. And one of my standout tracks on this, and I've said this to you before, and I don't mean this as an insult any way at all, but if Robbie Williams had sung this song, it would have been a hit across the world. True at First Light. It really, really is probably the most radio-friendly ballad, in my opinion, that you've ever written. Yeah,
it's never ever been played on radio. There you go.
Hey, there we go. I have a first. We like this. Yeah. So let's have a listen to that, and then we'll come back and talk a bit more. So this is cool. Off of Boats. This is True at First Light.
Jumped out of a train into the arms of a stranger who thought he'd gone insane. He said he'd lost everything: his love, his job, his home. She took his sadness and said, "No one's alone." He dried her tear and caught her fall. Problem seems so small. She said, "We weren't supposed to have it all. It's enough, what's your own?" It was true at first light. An angel came to play, and he held her all night, but knew she couldn't stay. So bright, he had to turn away, though he thought he just might have watched her fade away. Trust me. And from the ash you pulled a key. first night, an angel came to play, and he held her all night, but knew she couldn't stay. And the moon was so bright, he had to turn away, though he thought he just might have watched her fade away. If I see imaginary people, I don't mind to help me sleep at night. If I see imaginary people, I don't mind if things turn out alright. It was true at first light, an angel came to play, and he held her all night, but knew she couldn't stay. And the moon was so bright, he had to turn away, though he thought he just might have watched her fade away.
True at first light there, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going mad in the chat room, Mr. Miro. Adam Goldsmith's in there. You can understand why
Hi,
it's going a
Goldie.
bit mad. He says the man, the mirth, the car park. And they're all requesting songs. Luckily, Tony, my lovely young lady, is listening upstairs. She's requested one that's on the list, and he's in there. He's requested one that's on the list, and
Oh, that's cool then.
everyone's pretty much in agreement that any Miro track's cool. They're happy to listen to it as long as there's plenty of Son Hombre, which we'll get to.
Okay.
Do you know what? I was going through all your stuff today, and I found a few of the covers. You know, you're not a man that does many covers, but you know, looking back at the choices that you've made, NWA, Will Smith.
That's been removed, actually.
Yeah, well, I can't think why. Will Smith, Monster Magnet. Some interesting choices
That was
there.
that was a. I've got to remember the chap's name. Dan Maguire, actually, he paid for me that was a pledge tune for Monster Magnet. He asked me to do that. So.
Right. Just you know, is there, besides obviously that one, you know, is there any sort of when you pick a cover, is there a sort of something driving force behind it, or you like it, or
Generally, because I like it, and if I can do something with it that wasn't kind of, I don't know, if I can add something to it or make it feel like my own in some kind of way. Yeah, I don't know. Covers are weird. I've never been a massive fan. It's not through lack of discipline. It's just through. I've always had this sense that there's not enough time to write all the songs I want to write. And whilst it's vital to hear other music, all it's tended ever to be is something that triggers another idea. So to sit and play other people's music whilst no one listens to mine, really, I've never. It's never something I've got off on in a massive way. But
I think
there
one
are
of my favourites of yours was the Squeeze cover you did.
Oh yeah. I mean, but again, you look at that, great lyricists, great vibes, absolutely. That's formative years stuff for me. Like Squeeze, XTC, still one of my favourite all-time bands. Did an XTC cover. I can't remember what it was. Senses Working Overtime.
Yeah. I remember that as well. Yeah.
Which did as an Apes cover. But that was a massively influential track on me because the XTC way that guitars were used, that whole idea of wrongness, but being so discordant and melodic at the same time. That's how I fell in love with XTC. I don't have any specific reason why a cover works for me. I just don't do many of them because I don't really get off on playing them.
Yeah, well, that's fair play. So I mean, talking about discordant and upbeat and stuff like that. That moves us on to sometimes you get got very nicely, because that kind of was the first album with a real return to a big band, a full band sound.
Yeah. It was more of a rock album. Yeah.
And also the sort of album that saw us working together a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Now, I had a load of choices tonight. I was going to put in some of the videos we've done. I've decided not to. I'll just go audio,
okay.
go straight. Because, we didn't do videos for all the songs. And there's some cracking songs on there that we didn't do videos for. So, again, what I found myself doing is picking opening songs or title tracks mainly, because they seem to be the ones that really do stand out. Not that any of the albums are bad, but you get a couple of real standout songs. And they tend to be the first one you put, obviously your big banging opening, or the title tracks. So sometimes you got to get good. You've done this on purpose.
Easy for you to say.
Sometimes you got. Opened with Guinea Pigs, and I think you and I actually discussed the track listing around this time. You were playing with ideas and sending me different sort of ideas and what I thought, and this was definitely the right way to go. So let's have a listen to this, and we'll talk a bit more about SYG afterwards.
We're so lucky. I'm so lucky. I told you so. Part of me is glad that it's all over. Years of wasted energy to reach foregone conclusions. Handing over the keys that drive your soul to someone who's not in control. Cheated out of my secret soul, but under no pretenses did I cheat myself. Though I derive no satisfaction just from being able to say I told you so. Nothing ever happens, so the guinea pigs gonna make it happen. Yes, we will. Nothing ever happens, I'm not your guinea pig. Gonna make it happen. If it ever does, it won't be because we're so lucky. I'm so lucky. I told you so. Watching all the very bright creations collapsing underneath the burden of their expectations. In the existing state of my uncertain thoughts and plans, I have to pinch myself to prove I'm not dreaming. But wide awake, the nightmares still come back to haunt me. Still oh so close and yet so far away from being able to say I told you so. Nothing ever happens, so the guinea pigs gonna make it happen. Yes, we will. Nothing ever happens, I'm not your guinea pig. Gonna make it happen.
That brings back some memories, actually, man. I haven't listened to that properly in
Do you
a
know
while.
what? Yeah. Do you know what the memory did? I just had to grab as well. That's the first album that this telly appeared on, and that was just like, as soon as it opened, it was like, oh yeah, and it was man, I loved this guitar from the second I played it, and the whole album was because of this guitar, really. So there you go.
Well, let's look. We are running late. We're chatting. It's fun. As long as everyone's happy, we'll just carry on chatting. Let's talk guitars, man, because you've got a few.
Yeah.
So
got a few for the time being.
Your favourite is your Gibson acoustic, from as I understand it. One of you, it's not.
No, my favourite's my Martin acoustic.
Right, but you play your Gibson acoustic out lots.
Live, yeah, live's different thing. I got 2 J45s. I got a walnut one, which only 75 of those were made. That's special beyond special. And I've got a standard J45, which is just a wonderful workhorse. Record with it fair amount, but for acoustic stuff, my best and favourite writing and recording instruments are Martin, and I'll do 28, which is just insane.
Right. And you've got baritone guitars.
Yep.
You've got guitars with one string on that you use a violin bow on.
Yeah.
You've got basses, and you've got a resonator, I do believe.
I've got a few resonators, yeah.
Any sort of favourites from there?
Resonator-wise, I think at the moment, it has been for a while, is this Italia Sonoro thing, which is, I can't get it in, there you go. Which
Very
is
nice.
it's an electric rather than acoustic. It's a semi with F holes. Which is just a wonderful slide machine. It's something that I can play without it being too loud. It's great to record really nastily through the drum, but it also has got 2 pickups, an arpeggio and a humbucker, combination sounds. It's pretty versatile, and this is all over the Sonombre stuff. So much.
Well, that's kind of why I brought it up, to kind of sort of segue nicely into Sonombre, because I was going to say you've used that guitar a lot, because obviously
this. It was an Italia album, strangely enough, which it's kind of based on a Gretsch, but that is also heavily featured on a lot of the Sonombre, and they're the main 2 weapons on it.
Very nice, very, very nice. I do like that resonator, or as Tony would call it, a Dire Straits guitar.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I see that.
So, Sonombre. I mean, obviously, those guitars have got a very vintage look and sound about them, as has Sonombre. Now, Sonombre is your Magnum ice cream. Sorry, Magnum opus. And this is a 4-piece musical masterpiece, if I dare say so.
Well, thank you.
It's almost like a trilogy plus one of very good novels. Quadrilogy, is that what the word is?
That's the word, yeah. That's the word, yeah.
And this is basically one story in 4 different parts. So, I want you tell people the story of Sonombre. Give us a brief overview.
I'm not going to tell the story because
the feel.
Got to listen to it. Yeah, the feel is it commences in a desert landscape where people are bereft of homes, food. Drought is prevalent. There's no there are no jobs, and there is disease. It's a real cheerful kind of album. But overall, it's an overall arc of what's the nature of evil, basically, which is a parallel to where we are now with the people who are leading us, what kind of a mess they're leading us down. But essentially, it's like a Wim Wenders film. It's like Paris, Texas over four albums with with no zombies.
Yeah, I mean, if it was going to be made into a film, I reckon Quentin Tarantino's a good bet at directing.
Yeah, I think that'd be good, wouldn't it? I'd just love to have. It was so vivid of what wanted to do with it. It was colossal, which ideas always are. Always aim for bigger than you can achieve, and then you'll always be disappointed. That's my motto in life: is never be able to achieve what you'd like, and you'll just be miserable. But with this, and I think you shared this as well, and Haluku does a heck of a lot of design on my website and supports me massively. There's been this vibe with this project where everyone has gone, wouldn't this be great? Wouldn't this be great? And oh yeah, and there was so much idea for physical merch, for there being, if you like, a vinyl experience. And I don't mean to just simply releasing the thing on on vinyl. I'm talking about that experience of what vinyl was. That whole idea of it being a full emotional experience. And this, as a concept, was always going to have a lyric book. It was going to have, and you showed me one the other day. Someone's made a hand-burned Sonombre logo piece of wood.
I've got that here. I've got to send this out to you. This was done by my friend Rowena Paul, which is very talented.
Just look at that. That's amazing. All that kind of shit just should have been there. There should be the whole embodiment of it. But, reality is, Volume 1 sold 10% of what it needed to do to make the whole project viable. I've been chasing my tail since then. Volume 4 hasn't sold even 1/10 of what Volume 1 did so far. And so it's had to come out digitally. Doesn't undermine to me what I've achieved musically. I'm so proud of all of that. The story, the biggest challenge for me was to ensure that I had a beginning and an end, and that it followed an arc like a film does. But unlike a film, you didn't have to hear the whole thing. So each song on its own stands up as a vignette, as a little story, so that if you want to, like I'm hearing loads of people at the moment talking about Tenet, the new
yes.
the movie Tenet,
Not
and it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to have to watch it at least 3 more times to find out what's happening in it, man, because obviously there's something intelligent happening. Okay, yeah, it's the guy who made films with smart plots, so obviously this has got a smart plot. To me, an album and a film, any experience, a book, if you are taking something in, there has to be an entertainment factor so that on your first listen you get something. Yeah. And from an album, each song has to do that. Each song has to have its valid place, and you need to be able to hear each one in isolation. So that was the biggest challenge with this, to have over 50 songs, each standing up on their own, but each playing an integral part in the story.
I think that is something I need to do at some point in time, is sit down and listen to volumes 1 till 4, end to end.
Yeah, it's a long journey. You need a long drive, haven't you? I know. I've had messages from people who've done it, and it's like, geez, I've never done that. It's obviously I've spent thousands of hours on it, and I don't tend to listen back to my own stuff for pleasure. But the that's amazing when you hear that, when people have said, oh yeah, I drove from here to here, and we had a car full, and we listened to all 4 albums back to back, and it was the soundscape, it was the actual journey music we were living. It's like, well, that's it, it's objective achieved,
Yeah, it's like watching all 3 Star Wars films back to back. I say all 3.
Yeah, that's correct.
So let's have a listen to...
That said, Mandalorian rocks, mate.
Oh,
Mandalorian.
Mate, Mandalorian is just, yeah.
Just the best, honestly.
We're loving The Mandalorian.
Yeah, it's just the best.
And Baby Yoda, as my wife would say, is so cute.
Yeah, it's the whole reason for a second season, isn't it? But it really is a class show, I've got to say.
So let's have a listen to All Hope Is Gone, the title track of the first Sonombre volume. This one has been requested by Mr. Andy Bradley.
bear in mind it's saying, don't tell me all hope is gone. So it's not that gloomy.
Let's have a listen and find out.
Okay.
Out on the bleak horizon, there rages a storm with no reprieve. You let them in with your eyes wide open. Now you can't get them to leave. I see the wolf in the sheepskin, beating on the poor for their plight, bringing calamity one day closer to everybody takes flight. Some of us left for the mainland, while others waited behind. All that remain are the haunted faces, giving a voice to the lie. They tell me hope is gone. They tell me hope is gone. Yes, it is. Just leave your soul at the doorway. Your money ain't worth nothing here. I can't see much in your new world order, except more hatred and fear. Starting to think that we're done here. Whole lot of zip on the news. We've next to nothing divided now, and if the one's gonna lose, they tell me, hope is gone. They tell me that, they tell me, hope is gone. Yes, it is. They tell me, hope is gone. They tell me that, they tell me, hope is gone. Hope is gone. Hope is gone.
Oh, awesome. All hope is gone. Although it's not. Don't tell me all hope is gone. Just to clarify. Maybe you should put that in brackets on the title.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I have to say, I mean, your voice, I love your voice, but it sounds amazing on these Sonombre albums. But again, listening through some of your tracks today, your voice is very versatile. You listen to tracks like Trouble and The Conspiracy and Esperanto Umilag. That one. Umilagro. Where you're doing slightly different things with your voice, almost impersonations or accents and stuff like that. You know, how do you decide what a song needs when it comes? Why not just sing all of them?
Well, to me, I am, but the voice is an instrument and it's a texture, and to have a voice that can take on different guises, to me, is like having different instruments, like having different guitars, like having, if you're a woodwind player, you go, oh yeah, I'm going to play this on an alto, I'm going to play this on a tenor. Still got chops, but different rhythms, different melodies trigger different things in my head that, if you like, might be characterizations. So like Esperanto Milagro that you mentioned, that's from listening to loads and loads of Latin stuff as a kid. I still do, to be honest. But the whole Latin vibe of having that sort of swagger that might not appear in my general storytelling voice. If there's the case for there being the drunken travelling troubadour thing, then yeah, it will enter more the Tom Waitsy world of storytelling. Sometimes my voice is more English, sometimes it's more American. It's all whatever the picture is in my head, really. But the weird thing with that is it's a very good question. You might not realise what a good question that is, because you spend forever developing your vocal technique, getting to a point where you have your voice. And my voice for a long while was very English, and the pronunciation of everything that I sang was English. And I know that when I first started recording tracks that had an American accent, was on an album that had American accent and English accent, which was Earthly Powers. It's like this, I can't sing this song with an English accent because it doesn't feel right. And I thought people will go, oh yeah, but you're doing that on that, and you're doing that. What has been really reassuring about all that is, however I characterize it, it's still me that people hear. So that to me is, it makes me feel a lot safer to take risks when I'm just going, oh, this will be nice. It's not comedic. It's not something that I'm trying to do that's over the top. It's just adding characterization to that story, that particular vignette.
And it does. It adds to the drama of the track. I mean, you couldn't do Trouble in any other way that you do Trouble now. I mean, I think my favourite is your English gent. That one. The English gent that you do.
Oh yeah. Well, that was Richard Burton. That was. I'm doing better now because my voice has dropped further. But that was from the Transfusion album. Again, back to the Music for Nations comedy story. There'd been this long discussion about the link tracks, because that album was so written, it was so organised, everything was so done. And Russell, who was the assistant engineer on that album, we set up a separate studio whilst other stuff was going on with instrumentation on Transfusion, and recorded all the link tracks, because we had got the permission from MFN to use the actual recordings from the films that I'd sampled. And we spent ages doing all that. So originally those look, Rambo, look what put the great in Britain. That was Richard Burton from the Medusa Touch.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought that was you.
No, that's me on the album.
Right.
That's me on the album doing a bad Richard Burton impression.
Gotcha.
But the what happened was we'd done all of our studio time, and then the A&R guy whose name it's gone. I can't remember what his name is. That's how relevant he is. We got a call, I think, 48 hours before we'd done to say, yeah, you can't use any samples. Yeah, we can't get the okay on any of it. So if you want those things on, you're going to have to find a voice artist to do it. So all of those link tracks were me going, oh, right, I've got to come up with these voices and try and sound like them in a short space of time. So, yeah, that was not intentional.
I think you've done very, very well.
Thank you.
So, Sin Nombre Part 2.
Uh-huh.
I've chosen from this The Big Blowdown.
Okay.
It was either this or Free and Easy.
Uh-huh.
It is Free and Easy, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And I went with this in the end. I couldn't make my mind up. I was oohing and ahhing, and I was running out of time, so I had to choose one. So this is a great track. Again, I think all of your tracks, especially the stuff I've played tonight, shows your big anthemic choruses and the big hooks that all your tracks have. And this is a fine example of that. So let's have a listen to this. This is The Big Blowdown.
Favorite tunes, and late at night we hid under the stairs. Conspiracies reach to the moon. I drink up, we're all dead too soon, and sadness just gets bigger when it's shared. The fire burns never ending. Come to devour your sacred ground. Arrived on
Big blowdown there off of Sonombre Volume 2, Fallen Angels. Now, obviously, all this music, Paul, and we're playing these people, these songs, but what they really want to know is, where can they get all this from?
They can get it from paulmiro.com by typing in Miro Mart, MIROMART.com.
There we go. I'll put that in the chat room for people as well.
Fair amount of CDs, plenty of MP3s. Not absolutely everything I've released, but probably about a dozen albums up there, I think.
And you've got like All Stripped Down. Is that still available? All Stripped Down?
As downloads, yeah. Not as sold out of the physical product, yeah. So
and literally that is downloads, 4 CDs worth of...
6.
6, is it? Sorry, I do apologise.
65 tracks, I think. Originally it was 67. I had to remove 2 because of copyright issues. 66 tracks for 19 quid, I think.
And they're all,
I think it's 15
it's all
quid
stripped
for the
down.
download.
It's all acoustic versions of
Acoustic
your
and
album
vocal
stuff, ape stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And an album of covers.
And an album of covers as well. Including the squeeze track, I hope.
Do you know what? I don't know if I did that acoustically. I honestly don't remember. I don't know. I know there's a Dylan tune on there. There's a Tom Waits tune. There's a Bowie tune. I can't remember.
Loads of stuff. But, guys, heavy times we've all been through, and obviously we can't gig, we can't sell music as easily with physical product. Take a trip over to miromart.com, have a look at Paul's albums and buy some of his music, because it all helps, and we're all starving musicians. We need the money, right?
It's very true.
It is very true, and it's not a joke. It's it's not the old cliche. It is not a joke at all. But I mean, up next is something of Sonombre Volume 3, because I'm going to keep this in chronological order, and I have to say, the first time you gave me a sneak preview of this track, I fell in love with it.
Okay.
And you said to me, wait until it's finished. And I did. And the result was banging. Awesome. This really is a visit for me back to the 90s or the early 2000s of the Apes days.
Yeah, so you're going for the title track, aren't you?
Obviously.
Yeah. Which is deliberate. It is. Obviously, there's been a lot of people going, oh yeah, it makes me think of Great Place. That was absolutely deliberate. From the point of a generation on, what have we achieved? Where are we? What has changed? What has improved? Nothing. It's a different kind of cynicism.
You and I made a promise to each other not to talk about politics tonight, but you make it so bloody hard with the subjects of your songs. I'm just saying. Yeah. So let's have a listen to this, because this really, really is one of my favourite Sonombre tracks of all of them. It's big, it's loud, it's called Freedom Machine, and it's awesome. Have a listen.
Build your
to the freedom machine.
Welcome to the Freedom Machine, indeed, man. That is banging, and you know, I wish I could write a song as good as that. Just saying.
Won't earn you out, mate.
You know, I don't
You'll
want to go.
still be broke.
I don't want to go down that road too far, but I mean, you know, mate, you do deserve a lot more recognition than you've had throughout your career, and I mean that sincerely. And I think everyone in the chat agrees with me. You know, everyone loves your music and loves what you do, and I know it's you know, a financial need for everyone, but you know, from everyone who's listened to your music, and you know, some of your music has seen me through hard times, mate. Songs like Carry On and bits and pieces like that. You know, thank you for what you do and the time and the effort you put into it. Because, you know, you and I discuss this stuff, and I say to you, Paul, how do you get such a big vocal sound? And you go, well, there's about 100 voices in there. And there's me with my little recording studio recording about 4 tracks thinking I'm done. You know, you go to the nth degree with everything you do, and it shows, man. It really, really does.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you know, Volume 4 is out now. That's available for sale. Again, from miromart.com.
Yep.
And again, this is kind of the end.
This is the end.
So, do you feel that the story found its ending? Were you comfortable with finishing it there?
I was comfortable from the narrative point of view. Yeah. Bear in mind that musically this has been complete for 2 years. From the point of the writing, it's a bit like The Simpsons. You know, The Simpsons, the last episode has been written since they started.
Yeah, they also prophesise stuff as well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, actually, yeah. The first 2 tracks from the Sonombre writing were Nothing Left Here, Part 1, and Nothing Left Here, Part 8. They were written first. So I knew how it was going to start and I knew how it was going to end. I've been pretty happy with the way virtually everything's turned out musically. There were a couple of stumbles from the point of people who I couldn't get to do what I would have loved them to do. I really wanted it to end up being as a 6 vinyl albums with 2 extra versions of Nothing Left Here, which tied it all together with Chinese orchestra, which all made sense at the time. And still does. But hey, those things aside, I'm so amazingly proud of it as a musical achievement. From the point of production, it is really, even from my own perspective, it's huge production. It really has been massive amount of time, effort, challenges, technical stuff. The team of people around who have supported has been incredible. Yourself, Haluk, from the point of design and motivation. Dave Draper from mastering, just incredible. My only disappointments are that it's sold fuck all, you know, in relative to what it's cost. I've lost my business. My record business is now done because of this album. So I've actually shot myself in the foot by doing something that I've been really proud of, but I've not been able to motivate sufficient interest. None of it could have happened without the interest of the amazing people who have supported it. That's been incredible, vindicating all of those wonderful feelings that you get. But the bitter side of it all is that I've not been able to make it something that is economically viable.
As I said, mate, I mean, you know, you do deserve more recognition for what you've done, but the industry these days, it's the same for a lot of people out there, where the internet's been a wonderful thing for releasing new music. It's also been a really terrible thing for releasing new music.
Nothing's really changed from the point of you need to be able to network, you need to be able to hang out with the right people, you need to be able to say the right things. I'm useless at that. I make music. I'm an absolutely awful networker. I don't.
Coming back to the
falls
social
very
thing
well.
where you're a hermit in your own studio most of the time.
Yeah, it doesn't help. But when I am out, I don't tend to work in industry circles very easily. I'm not accepted in them very well because I can't kind of. It feels very false to me.
Well, it is. A lot of it is, mate. But, you know, this is why I like to do these shows where we sit and we talk and we're genuine with each other. And I think it's a chance for people to find out a bit about you and who you are and what makes you tick. And I think, you know, that is the important part. If you can get beyond the pretense and the falseness that is out there, there's some real people out there making music that don't buy into all of that. So let's hope, you know, some people have watched tonight and they're going to go tomorrow, Mark, and buy some of your albums. That's the really big hope from this, and hopefully we can make it economically viable at some point in time. Just before we finish up, we're going to play Immortal Babies on the way out from Volume 4, Mortal Babies.
Yeah.
And I just want to remind people we've got the Jam Night on Thursday, we've got Hayden Doyle as our co-host this week, and we've got the quiz night on Saturday. I think Sharon's our quiz master this week. So if you're around, you can join the quiz on Saturday, 8 o'clock. But Paul, thank you so much, mate, for taking some time out and sitting with me and you know, having a bit of a trip down memory lane, really.
Thanks for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I mean, just before we finish up, what's it like listening back to all your music in that sort of thing? I mean, it's not something, as you said earlier, you don't listen to a lot of your own music anymore.
If you want me to be really honest, I took the headphones off and I did some guitar practice while you're playing my songs.
And there was me thinking you were playing along.
Do you know what I did with Great Place, weirdly, because I haven't played that for ages. But everything else, it's just been, oh yeah, cool. Take the headphones off, and it's like, yeah, I've done that. That's
Listen to it 1,000 times.
Yeah. I don't get enough time to listen to music that I want to listen to. I will, and I've said to you, I will concede that this project, the Sonombre project, is the only one that I can listen back to without tearing it to bits and going, I would have done that differently, that's wrong, blah blah. That is true, but I still don't. It's kind of time that I could be spending doing something else, listening to other music, or preferably playing guitar. You know.
Exactly. I like the documentary on Jeff Lynne from the ELO. And I was sitting there interviewing, and he just constantly had a uke or a banjo or a guitar. He didn't put it down. He always was strumming something, playing something, and constant. So it's obviously in the blood.
Well, I've tried to be polite tonight. I mean, before you went on, I had a guitar around my neck, and I've put it behind me, and it's just when you're playing the tunes, I'm picking the guitar. So yeah.
Mate, thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Miro, go out and check out his stuff and buy some of the albums. I will vouch for them. And I'll tell you what, I want to wish you a little challenge. Me. I want to wish you a challenge to everyone. I am on Volume 1 of Sonombre and Volume 2 of Sonombre. If you can find me and tell me where I am, you'll get some free Radio FreakJam merch. There you go.
You're also on Volume 4, mate.
Am I? I'll have to find that one. So, all right, if you can find me, I know where I am on 1 and 2. If you can find me on 1 and 2, let me know, and you'll get some free Radio FreakJam merch. There you go, little competition for you. Paul, thanks for joining us. This is Mortal Babies. If you want to stick around and have a quick chat afterwards, mate. This is Mortal Babies. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks to everyone who's watched tonight. We'll see you again soon. This is Mortal Babies from Sonombre Part 4.
locked in the heart of it.